There's a unique kind of silence that comes with loneliness. It's not just the absence of sound. It's a heavy quiet that fills a room, that sits next to you in the car, that follows you down a busy street where everyone else seems to be walking with someone. It's the feeling of your phone in your hand, heavy and silent. It's the echo in your own head when you realize there's no one you can immediately call to share a small, silly thought with. We are taught from our first breath that this feeling is wrong. It's a sign of failure, a signal that you are unwanted, unloved, or that you've done something to push the world away. Every movie, every song, every advertisement tells us to fix it. Find a partner, join a group, fill the silence, fill the space, run from the quiet room. But what if that's the oldest, most outdated instruction manual we're still following? What if that feeling, that sharp ache of being utterly by yourself, isn't a punishment? What if it's an invitation? Think about it. When something truly important is about to arrive, what's the first thing you do? You clear a space. You don't welcome a revered guest into a room cluttered with old furniture, yesterday's newspapers, and the noise of a television left on in the corner. You tidy up. You open the windows. You let the air in. You create a space of intention, a space of welcome. What if the universe, the very architecture of your reality, is doing the same for you? What if the sudden departure of people, the quietening of your social life, the empty calendar isn't a void, but a clearing? The universe is gently, or sometimes not so gently, removing the furniture so that the most important guest you will ever meet has a place to sit. And that guest is you, the actual you, not the one you perform for your family, or your colleagues, or even your closest friends. The you that exists underneath all of that. For most of our lives, we don't truly know who we are. We know who we are in relation to others. You are a daughter or a son, so you see yourself through your parents' expectations and history. You are a friend, so you see yourself through the shared jokes and comfortable roles you play in your group. You are a partner, so your identity is woven into another's, a beautiful and complex tapestry where your threads are hard to distinguish from theirs. You are an employee, a boss, a neighbor. Each of these roles is a mirror held up to you, and you assemble a sense of self from these countless fractured reflections. It works. It gets us through the day, but it's a borrowed identity. It's an identity built on the feedback of others. And then, one day, the mirrors are taken away. A relationship ends. A friendship fades. You move to a new place. You lose a job. Or sometimes, for no clear reason at all, the invitations just stop coming. The quiet room appears around you. And in that silence, with no reflections to look at, the terrifying fundamental question rises up. Who am I when no one is watching? When there is no one to impress, no one to please, no one to react to, what is left? This is the moment most of us panic. We scramble to find new mirrors. We download a dating app. We text old acquaintances. We fill every second with podcasts, videos, and endless scrolling just to have some reflection, any reflection, to tell us we are still there. We see the emptiness of the room and believe it's a sign of abandonment rather than preparation. We mistake the sacred silence for a symptom of being broken. But the way things are set up, the way this transformation actually works, requires this period of stillness. It's a fundamental part of the pattern. The old connections, the ones based on who you were and who you pretended to be, must dissolve to make way for a new kind of connection. A connection based not on external validation, but on an internal recognition. This is not a flaw in your life, it's a recalibration. It's your own awareness asking for your attention, an attention that was previously scattered across a dozen different reflections. The loneliness feels like a wound, but it's actually the beginning of a healing you didn't even know you needed. It's the point where you stop looking for your reflection in the eyes of others and start to feel the source of your own light from within. The empty room isn't empty at all. It just looks that way at first glance. It's full of potential. It's full of the person you came here to be, waiting patiently for you to finally turn around and introduce yourself. This isn't a breakdown. It's a breakthrough, disguised as the very thing we've been taught to fear the most. The quiet is not an enemy. It is the beginning of a conversation you have been waiting your entire life to have. By the way, our shared space of light and awareness is on its way to 100,000 people. Thank you to everyone who subscribes and brings this moment closer. Of course, at first, this quiet room feels like a punishment cell. The silence is deafening. Every fear you've successfully drowned out with social plans, work deadlines, and endless entertainment suddenly has a megaphone. The thoughts you run from are the only things in the room with you. This is the great test, the first stage. Your mind, accustomed to constant distraction, will scream for a fix. It will tell you to call your ex, to scroll through pictures of happy couples, to turn on the television and not turn it off until you fall asleep. It will do anything to rebuild the familiar prison of noise because it is terrified of what might be found in the quiet. This initial discomfort is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It's the sign that you are finally doing something right. It is the withdrawal from a lifelong addiction to external noise and validation. And like any withdrawal, it feels terrible right before it sets you free. If you can stay, if you can just sit in that room and breathe through the panic, something remarkable begins to happen. The screaming in your head gets quieter. The desperate need for a text message, for a like, for any sign that you exist to someone else begins to fade. And in its place, a different kind of perception opens up. You start to notice things, small things. You start to hear the quieter, deeper truths that were always there, buried under the chatter. This is where you begin to see the architecture of reality in motion, not as a theory, but as a living experience. You stop looking for connection from people, and you start seeing it in absolutely everything. Think about it. You'll be thinking about a difficult decision, feeling completely lost, and you'll walk past a bookstore where a title in the window seems to be the exact answer you were looking for. You'll have a childhood memory of a specific yellow bird, and that exact bird will land on your windowsill for the first time in years. You'll hear a phrase in a stranger's conversation as you pass them on the street that speaks directly to the worry in your heart. We've all had these moments. We call them coincidences, brush them off as strange, and move on. Why? Because the old rulebook says that connection only comes from other people. But in the quiet room, with the old rules suspended, you start to see the pattern. You realize these aren't random glitches in reality. This is reality's native language. It has been speaking to you your entire life, but you were too busy shouting over it, trying to be heard in a crowded room. The universe, the way everything is set up, is a vast web of connections. Everything is in conversation with everything else. The wind, the trees, the numbers on a clock, the lyrics of a song, the thoughts in your head. It's all part of one seamless, intelligent whole. When you were constantly seeking validation from the human network, you effectively had noise-canceling headphones on, blocking out this infinitely more profound conversation. Loneliness is the act of taking those headphones off. Suddenly, you can hear everything. You realize that you were never asking for a sign. You were just missing the millions of signs already being given. The feeling of being separate was a story you told yourself because you were only listening to one station. Now, you can hear the whole symphony. And here's the most beautiful part of this whole transformation. By stepping away from the desperate need for human connection, you don't end up more alone. You end up more deeply and truly connected than you ever thought possible. You begin to develop a relationship with life itself. You learn to trust the intuitive nudge that tells you to take the long way home. You learn to see the message in the repeated obstacle. You start to feel a sense of companionship with the world around you. The morning sun feels like a greeting. The rain feels like a cleansing. You are no longer a frightened child in a random, chaotic world. You are a conscious participant in a grand, unfolding story, and you're finally learning to read the script. This is the ultimate paradox. You had to feel utterly alone in one way to finally understand you were never, ever separate in a much bigger, more fundamental way. The loneliness wasn't a void. It was a lens. It was a training ground. The sacred space that was cleared for you wasn't just for meeting yourself. It was for meeting everything. The empty room becomes a sanctuary, a place of power where the noise of the world fades and the wisdom that holds the world together becomes clear. You no longer need to be seen by others because you are finally being seen by the universe itself, and you are seeing it back. If this video changed something in you, write in the comments, "My quiet is my connection." Write it as your promise. Nobody